to wrap up Unit 5A talking about water and carbon movement, we need to end with the carbon cycle. Before we went on break, we did carbon on the move together in class. We filled out the diagram, and now we are going to go over the notes. So, all living things are made of carbon. If you have carbon as part of your backbone of your structure, you are considered an organic molecule. All right, so again, this isn't the type of organic like when you go to the grocery store and you get your vegetables and it says that it's organically grown. All right, this just means that carbon is present in the system. Okay, carbon is the major backbone of life. Carbon is found in all 4 of our main macromolecules. Your carbohydrates, your lipids, your proteins, and your nucleic acids all have carbon in them. So we talked about that way in the beginning of the year. Carbon can be found in soil, liquid, and or gaseous states. All right, so what that means is it can be found in the biosphere, meaning on our Earth, in the form of carbohydrates or in living and dead organisms. It can be in our atmosphere as carbon dioxide or methane. The hydrosphere has nothing to do with water, so it as carbonate or hydrocarbons. And in our geosphere, meaning underground in soil and fossil fuels like coal. All right, so our main sources of carbon, again, that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the bicarbonate dissolved in water, fossil fuels being underground deposits of oil, gas, and coal, carbonate rock, which is limestone, which Florida has tons of, and dead organic matter in the soil. So carbon recycles itself, all right? You are born, you live, you die, you return to the earth. That is for all living organisms. Plants use energy from the sun to convert this CO2 from the air into this organic material. All right, so plants need this carbon dioxide to carry out photosynthesis like we've already talked about. When we did carbon on the move, we saw that carbon moves through the biotic or living. So think biology is the study of living things, all right? So that prefix bio means living. So anything that is biotic is living. So carbon moves through the living world as one organism consumes another. So every time you eat something, all right, carbon is being moved. You are consuming it. Anytime another organism eats something, all right? Carbon returns to the atmosphere as CO2 by respiration. So when we breathe out, we are breathing out that carbon dioxide. When organisms pass away, all right, they decompose. So decomposition of dead organisms is also going to release that carbon back to the atmosphere. Burning fossil fuels, planes, trains, and automobiles. All right, we've talked about that every day we are burning those fossil fuels and releasing copious amounts of CO2 back into our atmosphere at an alarming rate at that. Emissions from factories, this is called combustion, all right? When any of these factories are producing something and they're pumping out from those chimneys, all that smoke cloud of carbon, all right, that's carbon dioxide back out in our atmosphere. And then lastly, atmospheric carbon emitted from wetlands, landfills, and livestock, all right? So all of these areas are also releasing. Carbon is stored in carbon sinks, all right? So wherever carbon is going to be stored at is a sink, and where it's released from is a source. So we have our sources in sinks, okay? The last thing I want to cover is the carbon cycle that we labeled when we did carbon on the move in class. So as I just talked about, all the carbon eventually is going to make its way back into the atmosphere at some point, okay? No matter where it came from, where it started from, it all goes back into the atmosphere, right? Once it's in the atmosphere, plants can take it in through photosynthesis, because remember, it's a reactant for photosynthesis. So here we see this bush taking it back in, here we see this tree taking it back in. Now it can be released, so that cellular respiration, the plant is going to transpire, all right, and do the process of cellular respiration. This deer is going to breathe and do cellular respiration. So back into the atmosphere. This deer is going to come eat, all right, some of the plants from the trees or the grass, all right? So it takes in food. It is taking in that carbon. And eventually down the road, this poor little deer is going to pass away and it's going to decompose. So it's going to die and decompose. And again, with that, it's going to return to the ground and then over time return to our atmosphere. If it's underground for long enough under immense pressure, it will become fossil fuel that we will pump out of the ground and burn in our plane, trains, and automobiles. All right. And factories will release it as well through combustion. And again, it returns to our atmosphere. But the main thing that's going to pull CO2 from our atmosphere is photosynthesis. This is a very important process because that's what's really drawing all of the carbon dioxide out of our atmosphere. Okay, so this is our sink. One of our major sinks is our plants and forests and our oceans. And then our sources where we're adding carbon to the atmosphere would be the burning of fossil fuels and combustion, all right, and cellular respiration.